Hey YouTube, so it's time for another guest blade. So this is the one that I was really interested in, other than that custom, that the custom that you guys saw. So this is one of Elliot Williamson at Ferrum Forge Knife Works sm100 Stingers, and I've been carrying it a lot. I didn't think I'd like it as much as I do. So what we're going to talk about is that this is another one of those guest blades that I was given to sharpen and put on the channel to upkeep some content for you guys. This knife is really awesome. I wish I could get one, but I can't because they didn't make a lot of them. sm100, I did a video talking about sm100. It is not steel. There is no, it's non-ferrous. It is titanium nickel alloy. But what you got is titanium scales, steel thrust bearings, Hoback rolling detent, and an sm100 blade, which so far, as I've seen, is amazing at holding an edge. It really is. I had some doubts when I talked about how plastic and elastic that material is. It really holds an edge well. I've done a lot of cutting with it. I am going to have to touch it up before I send it back. But man, it gets so sharp and it holds that edge. And I think a lot of that has to do with it being elastic. And it's light. That's the other thing, it's light. So just like all of Elliot and Chris's knives from over there at Ferrum Forge Knife Works, you get a steel lock bar insert, Hoback rolling detent. Their stop pin is an integral stop pin, titanium scales, titanium pocket clip, and if I remember correctly, all of these had titanium hardware. Not 100% sure, but it looks as though these screws have been anodized, so I would say that they are 99% sure that they are titanium. Now, very rarely are you going to hear me say something negative about a Ferrum Forge Knife Work knife, and it's not bias. It really isn't. There's very rarely anything bad to say. sm100 does not like to be in a flipper, and you can definitely feel it's not as smooth. It really isn't. I believe that sm100 NTAC was a lot smoother than this one, but this one really isn't as smooth. There's a lot of, you can just feel it in there. And sometimes sometimes it just almost doesn't want to flip all the way open. But it does if you give it, if you get enough oomph, it flies open. But like I said, it's so light because sm100 is lighter than steel. And it takes a beautiful, brilliant edge. That's about the only negative that I can think of, is that sm100 just is not as smooth on that detent ball as a lot of their other knives. Now, I don't know what they did to overcome that with that NTAC, and I suppose I could clean this up a little bit, but you can see you get almost some anodizing. Chris has found a way to anodize this and get some colors out of it, and I may try to clean it up a little bit. So what you get is, that's finger oils and stuff, just like any other anodizing that gets on there, and it doesn't show through, but you get some blue along this edge, and I'm not sure if this one was anodized or if that's just still coloring from heat treat. But it looks awesome. I've seen some of the others that they get where they get different colors through basically anodizing sm100. And Chris has got a way to do it, and he's really good at it. They come out looking awesome. As Andy from Nowpack Group said when he brought his over, he had to get the hotness put on it. The hotness. But it is standard Ferrum Forge construction. You have their standard hardware, and not to say too much about it, but there's a lot of people that just don't understand how this works, don't understand how to take it apart, don't understand how to put it together. But I'm gonna tell you, this knife, just like the other Ferrum Forge knives that I have and I've sharpened and seen like that, their knives don't seem to need to be torn apart like some other knives. Like you saw me do a wee video where I deconstructed the whole knife, tore it apart because I had to clean it up. Their knives do not seem to foul up the way that other knives do, some of my other knives. And I have other knives that don't, that I don't take apart and clean. But it seems that they're just really easy to just wash out, to wash that pivot point out. And I've carried it, and there's a lot of gunk in there from, I was making some knives, so there's some steel grindings in there and things like that. But I don't know if it's just the type of bearings that they use and things like that that just are not as prone to getting clogged. So I'm not really sure what the difference is, but I do know that even as dirty as my end tack and everything get, it doesn't seem to affect the action, and you can just clean them out and you're perfectly good. So lockup on this is really good. And I mean, it's really comfortable. I saw the blade design, and I didn't really like the stingers when he was making them. But I saw the blade design, and I'm like, you know, does not really speak to me. But now that I've carried it for a while, it's awesome. It does a really good job cutting, and the handles, so comfortable. No hot spots, 0 hot spots on this. These were expensive. I'm not even gonna hazard to guess what they actually cost making them out of an sm100. But like I said, Elliot has told me that you could pretty much make 4 knives, 4 blades, for the price of 1 of these. So yeah, this is gonna be pretty quick. I have a lot of other stuff I gotta do, but I definitely wanted to get this out there. I have a couple more reviews that I have to do. But this was a gift from Nico's wife, so I'd like to get it back to him. She had some lettering put on it specifically. Yeah, all in all, really good knife. I do know that Elliot is about to start, Elliot and Chris are about to start a run of knives that are similar to this, but they are not going to be an sm100. I don't want to say what it is because I can't remember exactly what they branded it. But I'm sure that they've put it on their website. I don't spend a lot of time looking at their website because I'm up there enough. I don't really have to. That's a big bug. But yeah, no, just all in all, I was kind of surprised at how much I really did like this. Even though it doesn't, most knives that I want would have a finger choil up forward. This one really doesn't need it. It's that comfortable, and it's nice and thick across the spine. You can get good purchase on there. You don't need a lot of jimping. Flipper tab is not overly large. One of the things I've noticed with some of the knives that have the bigger flipper tabs, especially now that I wear slacks, it wants to catch as you're coming out of the pocket, and this doesn't do that. It's nice and small. It's a lot like my end tack. It's really got a small flipper tab, or some of my other knives with the smaller flipper tabs. We've gotten to the point where I don't like the big, huge flipper tab. Now my DOC, my Microtech DOC, has a large flipper tab, but that turns into part of the finger choil and almost a guard. So it's a good bit larger. I mean, it's a lot larger than this. And I can forgive that because it was purposely built, designed for that. So yeah, no, that's pretty much all of it on this one. If you ever want to know anything about sm100, definitely reach out to Summit Metals. Has some good stuff on there. Summit has some good stuff on their webpage talking about sm100, but truly, if there's any questions that anyone would ever have, Elliot's really busy, but you could always ask me, and I'll ask him. Just write them down, because I can catch him in the shop while he's brain working, while he's doing something else, and he's more than willing to answer those questions. Yeah, awesome little knife, really is. I know I say awesome a lot. It just is. That's all you can say. I just wish it was a little. Can you hear it? It's just the nature of sm100. Elliot told me that the smoothest knife he ever made in sm100 did not have a rolling detent. said it had a set screw. They screwed in and then rounded it off and smoothed it so it would drop down in the detent hole. He said that was by far the smoothest sm100 knife he ever made. So they learned real quick they couldn't use ceramic detents because it didn't like them. Just like when I said sharpening, it didn't like the ceramic stone. That's right, YouTube. That's that. I can put this one in the case and I will get you more videos. I'm gonna do some knife making myself this weekend, Friday and Saturday, but I really want to spend as much time as possible with my daughter because spring break is almost over and I haven't gotten a chance to spend any time with her. And they're gonna be going to Japan before too long. So I need to get my time in when I can. So one last thing. I put out a video several months ago titled, do you remember when Cold Steel made quality knives? Pepperidge Farms remembers. And I have gotten a significant amount of hate over that. So I am going to do a return to that video. It's going to be a follow-up to that because I do believe that the majority of people that have watched that video that are complaining about what I said missed my point. They missed, I was not at all bashing Cold Steel. Cold Steel still makes a lot of really, really nice knives. They do. And people thought that I was comparing my high-end, the high-tier sm100 3 fixed blades to their cheaper line. And that's not at all what I was doing. And I want you guys to understand. I will do a full video on this. But I think people have misconstrued what I said and misunderstood what I said. And I've watched the video over again. And I don't know where the confusion is coming from because I specifically said that I have high hopes that Cold Steel is going to be able to turn it around and fix some of their quality control issues. But the things that I'm getting are people are like, well, you know, if you've got an issue with your knife, you should just send it right back to them because they're more than willing to. But here's my point, ladies and gentlemen. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to send a brand new knife back because there's something wrong with it. That was my point. Their quality control was lacking and their quality has started to lapse, but it's getting better. From what I understand, it's getting better, and a lot of that has to do with better steels and realizing that they were having issues. So don't misconstrue what I said as I'm bashing Cold Steel. As a matter of fact, I said, you know, if you're a 19, 20-year-old kid, you can't beat a Cold Steel knife. But people have misconstrued the point I was trying to get across, and some people just completely hate me because of it. And it's just a misunderstanding, 100%. So yeah, it was not at all that. I just really have hopes that Cold Steel is going to be able to get back to the level of quality they offered before they started sending stuff to Taiwan. And it has nothing to do with comparing tiers of quality. Like I said, to tell me that, well, if you find an issue with a knife, Cold Steel is more than willing to fix it. All you have to do is contact them. I shouldn't have to. That was my point. I should not have to send a brand new knife back. So that's all I was trying to say. And I don't think that everyone got it. And I apologize if there was any confusion, but I have gotten a lot of hate mail on that one about, oh, I can't believe you said that, and this and that, and Cold Steel knives. Like I said, Cold Steel knives still makes quality knives for the money. My Spartan is one of my favorite camp knives. I still have that tie light, even though it's developed some blade play. I just wanted to see. I've had people say that when I mentioned that I've destroyed Cold Steel knives, they're like, oh, that's impossible. You can't. Okay, yes, I will agree that their Grivery handles are tough, but I've damaged those and broken them. I will agree that their knives are robust and that triad lock is amazing. The things that I've worn out and ruined and damaged beyond repair on Cold Steel knives in the past are the Teflon bushings that are in there. You take it apart, there's just two little plastic washers. They're not gonna last forever. They won't. And to tell me that there's no way I ruined and worn out a knife, you obviously do not know me. That I've been able to break or damage a Cold Steel knife to the point that it no longer meets my bill, or I don't trust it as anything but I keep it in the drawer. As a matter of fact, like I said, as far as whether or not I like Cold Steel, I have a knife in here that is a Cold Steel, anyway, it's in there, my Cold Steel Tough Light stays in this drawer because I use it out here for work stuff, cutting tape and things like that. I love that knife. It was a gift from my father for Father's Day. I've said it before, I like cold steel, but people just do not listen to the entire intent of the message. They take from it what they want, and it gets frustrating. And I try not to comment, and I try not to get into dissertation and arguments with people about what they think I meant when I know what I meant. But sometimes the temptation is overwhelming, and I do. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I can get nasty. If you're calling me out about something that you're not at all right about what my intent was, I will get nasty, because basically you're wrong, and I'm going to tell you that you're wrong. No, that's not at all what I meant. So to tell me what I intended to say, don't do that. It'll upset me, and then we'll get into a war in the comments, and then I'll block you. I'll take your comments down, because my channel. No, I try not to do that. I try not to take comments down, because everyone has a valid opinion. But yeah, no, I just wanted to kind of try and clarify that, and I will do the video going back to it. But yeah, if you have an sm100 Stinger, you are very lucky. You lucked out when you made that decision to buy, because they were worth every penny. If you need them sharpened, I know how to sharpen sm100. I know how to sharpen it good. At any rate, you guys have a good evening, and I will talk to you later.